I wanted to talk about a certain topic that I've been thinking about, and that's that, um, like, just in my life at this point, I've kind of done things in like a number of different fields, and gotten good or at least decent at like a number of different things in a number of different fields, and so like some of the fields that I have like gotten good at besides lifting and powerlifting, I've done things in music. I played jazz trombone for like a long time. I've done things in music and writing. I wrote a novel when I was 20 years old. Um, what else? I've done things with public speaking a little bit, um, with chess, with video games, with other stuff too, like slips my mind. Um, what else? Like a lot of things. Other fields I'm not allowed to talk about, but many different fields. Um, Lately with sales and marketing and stuff, I'm learning that stuff, and entrepreneurship, and all of these different fields. So it's something that helped in any field that I got in, that personally helped me a great deal, is was to find a mentor in the field, but not just a mentor like in each field that I got into. And this is again from my personal experience. What helped was to find someone who was like sort of a mix of friend and mentor, who is better than me at what I was trying to get good at. Who They were better than me, and they were a little further ahead of me, or like a good bit further ahead of me, and then I kind of like studied them, and it helped because like I learned from one of my mentors that there's two kinds of mentors. Like there's the mentor that's like an adult and that you kind of can't relate to that much, and they're like much further ahead of you in life, and they're like significantly older than you, and they kind of give you like advice of like a father figure. And then the other type of mentor is like the friend mentor, that's like a mix of friend and mentor, and they're on the journey. Maybe they've been doing what you're trying to get good at for like a little while longer, maybe extra years. Maybe they're a little older than you but not a lot older than you, and they're a mix of friend and mentor to you. So I found kind of friend slash mentors like this in each of the fields that I wanted to get good at. I wanted to get good at public speaking. I had a friend slash mentor who was ahead of me in that field. I wanted to good at entrepreneurship. I had a friend mentor who was many years into business, and he was already good at that. I wanted to get good with girls, and it was the same. I had a friend mentor who was many like years ahead of me in that field, and they were like maybe a little older than me but more experienced, and they kind of knew what they were doing, you know. And then the ideal thing when you have this is that you can kind of like you can ask them questions and you can relate to them. Like ideally they'll be sort of a similar personality to you, but they've just put in the years, like they started before you, and a lot of the time they're significantly better at what you're trying to get good at. And this has been the case for me, and it's interesting because I'm like halfway decent and are pretty good at like a few fields and a number of different fields, and I have friends of mine who are better, like really a lot better than me in every single one of those fields. But at the same time, I'm the only one who can be pretty good at all of those fields, you know? So that's kind of what it means to be the best version of yourself in some ways, is that you can kind of be pretty good or pretty far in a lot of different fields, you know? But I just think that we live today in like a day and age where there's like a lot of information out there, there's a lot of knowledge out there, and you can go and get resources online from books and YouTube videos and different material, different content, and you can learn a lot of different things. But there's something about having a mentor like who you can talk to and ask questions, and there's a certain kind of learning that you get from communication and from human to human interaction. There's a certain kind of learning and a certain kind of teaching, a certain kind of wisdom that's passed that you don't get from just reading or just like looking at YouTube videos. You know, back in ancient times, how information was passed and told, and wisdom was passed from generation to generation was through storytelling. And it would be the classic just sitting in like around fire or something, and then like a story is told, and that's how knowledge is gathered, that's how wisdom is attained, and that's how people learn things back then. And I still think that like that human touch and connecting with other people, talking to other people on like an emotional level, and through empathy and all that, that's highly underrated, and that's something that can really help to learn a lot of things. And I think that's a big reason why having that friend type of mentor is really good, because you guys are friends first and then they're your mentor second, you know. So like you won't idolize them like you would like someone who's the absolute greatest of all time in like some field. Like you'd probably idolize them and stuff, but potentially you would. But then like this, if it's like, even if they're really good but they're your friend, like, and this was the advice that my mentor gave me, is that you just hang out with them. Don't treat it like a thing where you're like the bitch and they're like the wise person, and like you're the student and they're the master. You just treat it like, I mean, they're your friend and you're hanging out, and you just see what they do. They're only, and it will teach you that, you know, like it won't change you if you get a lot better at the skill. They're only a little further ahead on their journey than you are, and you can kind of see what they do with that respective field. I'd pay attention to my friend. He's 5 years, 6 years ahead of me in his work. You know, he's been working on his business and his company, and has grown it into a substantial business, a multi six-figure business. And I'll ask him like what kind of problems and challenges he's facing, and I'll kind of see like over the years I've seen how it's grown and changed, and what he deals with like back then versus right now. And he's significantly further than me in what he's going through, but just spending time with him and hanging out, like I can learn a lot of things, and at the same time he can ask me things and get ideas from me. It creates a different element when it's like that friend dynamic versus they're like someone who's like really high up, and then you're the student and they're the master. You're like, and they're like the sensei or something. And it's an interesting but a meaningful type of relationship, and one that can be very productive. Another thing I could say too is that when you have that sort of dynamic, is that a lot of the time your friend will have a lot to learn from you, you know. And and this is the thing, is that a lot of the time, like you might have done something in your field, and something that they're trying to learn, and you're trying to learn their field, but they might be trying to learn yours, and so they can learn a lot of different things from you, you know, whether that's a field of yours that they're trying to learn, or a field of yours that they aren't really trying to learn, but that they're just not in, but they're curious about. Because I mean, that way, like they might be really good at one thing, you're really good at another thing, and you guys can talk, and they can learn from you, you can learn from them. It kind of works out well, because then when you have like any problems with the field that you're trying to get good at, or you're trying to learn things in, then you can kind of text them and hit them up and say like, hey, I was kind of thinking about this, what do you think? And they can kind of give you their feedback and their thoughts. So this is like a short video, and there's like a lot more I could say on the topic, but this is something that pays off in the long run, and in the process you make really meaningful relationships. Like find those friends that can be good, like mentors slash friends, and stick to them and keep them close. And it matters more that they're like a good person first, and then like a good like friend or mentor second. But like, yeah, like if they're the good person first, that's first, and then how good they are at the skill is second. But then keep those relationships and cultivate them, because they'll really help you in the long run, and those will make some of the best mentor type partnerships, when they're not like necessarily the adult mentor, but they're a friend and they're just a little bit ahead of you. Every single field that I've gotten good at, or at least decent at, like really consisted of that having that person that like was a friend, and they're just a little ahead of me, and I saw them and saw that, oh, like they're just ahead of me, and if they can do it, like I can definitely do it. Maybe I can even catch up to them. And it's a really healthy thing, and it's a good thing, and they kind of helped you to get to a certain level, and you can help them in return at the same time. So yeah, those are some ideas on that topic.